The Obama administration is going after corporations that are planning on doing inversion deals that would essentially help them dodge taxes in the United States. Now, one perfect example of this, and it's a deal that has now been destroyed because of the new Treasury rules and Treasury laws, was the potential merger of Pfizer, which is a massive pharmaceutical company based here in the United States, and Allergan, which is based in Ireland. Now, Ireland has lower tax rates. So the whole point of Pfizer merging with Allergan is so Pfizer wouldn't have to pay American taxes and they could pay a lower tax rate in Ireland. Well, because of these new laws, they won't be able to do that. U.S. drugmaker Pfizer Inc. and Ireland-based Allergan formally announced the scrapping of their $160 billion merger on Wednesday. The new rules include a change that would tighten a September 2014 notice barring companies from enjoying foreign tax benefits if 60% of the merged company's shareholders were also shareholders of the original U.S. parent company. Now, the foreign ownership shares will not count toward the requisite percentage of foreign ownership if they were acquired from assets of an American company in the previous 3 years. Now, let me just note that even though this executive action that the Obama administration took is a good thing, it doesn't completely solve the problem. There are ways that corporations can work around this, and I'm sure that they will. Now, you need Congress to draft legislation and vote in favor of legislation that would really prevent these companies from these inversion deals. But right now, as it stands, this is a good thing, especially when it comes to this major pharmaceutical company trying to dodge U.S. taxes.
So tremendous credit to the Obama administration for doing this, and I don't often give them tremendous credit. From time to time, you'll hear people in the establishment, sometimes Hillary Clinton on the campaign trail, saying, well, there's nothing that could be done, right? And like how Bernie Sanders wanted to arrest the bankers for committing fraud. Well, there's nothing that could be done. No, oftentimes there's a lot of things that can be done. They just choose not to do them. Can you arrest people for fraud? Of course you can. Bernie Sanders says they often pay fines of $5 billion. You think they're paying $5 billion fine because they didn't commit the fraud? And if you have evidence of that, enough that they're willing to pay that fine, you have enough evidence for a criminal conviction too. You just don't want to go in that direction. Now, in this case, President Obama kind of proves that because, well, corporate inversion deals, I've heard for years now, there's nothing you can do about it. What are you going to do? I mean, they're buying a foreign company, right? And if they buy the foreign company, and so now they're not a U.S. company anymore, they paid the foreign taxes, not U.S. taxes. What can you do? Well, it turns out there is something you do.
Yes.
Treasury just simply passes a rule within the executive branch that says, okay, here's how we consider you in the right tax bracket, right? And this Allergan is serial inverter.
Yes.
So what they're doing is they keep merging with American companies for the specific purpose of those American companies now becoming Irish companies and paying much lower taxes, right? So part of the rule that they passed here was saying, hey, if the previous companies that bought you were also American companies, we won't count that as a foreign corporation for the 60% you need, right? So in this particular case, it definitely scuttles this particular deal. Now, understand the pressure that politicians are under, especially in this corrupt system, because Pfizer now had to pay over $100 million to Allergan because this deal fell apart. Allergan loses 15% of their stock value as soon as this rule is announced, and it's obvious the merger is not going to go forward, right? That's a devastating blow for them. And in the previous merger, another company had to pay a $1.6 billion penalty to the company they were going to merge with. That was in the pre-arranged contract, right? So when you're talking about billions of dollars, these companies are going to put a lot of pressure on. The drug companies actually are the #1 donors to politicians. Not the banks, not the oil companies, it's the drug companies, right? And so the drug companies go to all their crooked politicians, the Republicans and Democrats. They go, hey, fight Obama on this. Fight the Treasury Department on this. Make sure they understand the value, and then they talk about creating jobs. But the whole point of this is to take jobs away from America.
That's exactly right. Yeah, because if you move your headquarters from the United States to Ireland, how is that creating jobs in the United States? By the way, I got to give you another really incredible detail about what the Treasury Department did, because this is another portion of it that's excellent. So there's another thing that they do during these inversion deals, right? And it's known as earnings stripping. What they do is they join together, and then Allergan, which is the smaller company, will go ahead and loan money to Pfizer, which is a much larger company. And they'll loan the money with interest, of course. Now, once Pfizer pays that loan back, they can write it off as a massive tax deduction, right? And at the same time, Allergan makes money because, of course, they've just made interest on the loan that they gave to Pfizer. So the Treasury Department has done away with that as well. Sorry.
Yeah. And so they hide billions of dollars in revenue that way, so they don't have to pay taxes on it. When they don't pay the taxes, you pay the taxes.
Yep.
And I've shown you on previous shows how the percentage of taxes paid by middle-class Americans has gone up tremendously over the last 4 or 5 decades in this country because corporations have been doing deals just like this to shift their taxes onto you. So the fact that President Obama put an end to it in this particular regard, in both of the ways that they did in the Treasury, as Anna just explained, is great news. So oftentimes he goes in a corporate direction. I don't think he would have done this in the middle of his presidency. Well, he didn't do it in the middle of his presidency as they were doing corporate inversions. But here at the end, okay, it turns out there is a little bit of progressive in President Obama, and he drew the line here. He saved a lot of taxes for this country, which then can go into education, infrastructure, healthcare, serving actual American citizens, and he protected American jobs. So job well done.